Do you like Castlevania? Do you like fighting games? Well, I do. So in my quest to capture and document all of the weird, obscure games that made their way onto the Wii, I just had to try
Castlevania Judgment.
But is the spirit and tone of Castlevania captured in this spin-off? Is it a good fighting game? And does it provide enough single-player content to justify playing it today? Let's find out, shall we? Castlevania Judgment is a 4-button fighting game, but not in the way that most fighting games are 4-button, like Marvel for example. Now, if you're using the Wiimote and Nunchuck,
Which I must stress is not the way I recommend you play the game.
but if you choose to do that, you really are dealing with more of a 3-button game with your attack button being shaking the Wiimote. I saw that when I booted up the game, immediately said, oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into? I discovered that the game natively supports Pro style controllers and switched over to that right away.
Hey, this is Editing Ice here. When I wrote down the controls on my notes, I had in my mind the layout of an Xbox controller, so I got everything completely backwards. So I'm just gonna redo it here. Anyways, on your classic controller, you have B as your attack button, A as your special attack button, Y as your sub weapon, and X as your hyper guard, or as I call them, supers. So that makes up your basic 4 buttons. You've also got guard and jump on L and R respectively. You've got guard crush, which I'm going to be calling unblockables for the rest of the video, with a combination of L and B, and object actions B and Y. I never really used object actions, probably should have used them more. And you've got evade on your right stick. Now, you don't have omnidirectional dodges, so why evade couldn't be on a shoulder button instead of on the stick, I don't know. Anyways, that's the basic rundown of the Pro controller. Here is the Wiimote and the GameCube controller controls, if you're curious. There's also, they give you a couple different options for control schemes, but I'm just going to cover the defaults for each controller. Alright, back to the rest of the video.
Attack and special have 2 grounded variations, depending on if you are neutral on the movement stick, or if you're inputting some kind of movement. Any direction counts for the dashing variation, let's call it. There's also jump versions of everything, as you might imagine. Now, slightly weird layout aside, that sounds like a simple, straightforward control scheme, right? Well, there's more to it. First, you can charge both special and sub-weapon buttons to get different moves out of those buttons. And there's a little flash that appears on your character to let you know when you've fully charged. Now, in order to use your special moves, you don't just press the special button, you press the special and the attack button at the same time? Which is weird because sub-weapons don't work that way. If you release sub-weapon, it does the sub-weapons. Why couldn't specials be like that? So it's not like it's something that, because of the charge mechanic, they had to go to this system. And also, you can't charge your special moves or sub-weapons and attack. So it's not like you can be attacking, do a combo string, use a charged move to continue your combo string, no. So it's really weird decisions here. Supers are also very, very strange. I don't know if I've ever played a fighting game where you can't cancel your normals or specials into supers. Now, to be fair, these supers do half health if you hit, and there doesn't appear to be any kind of damage scaling in this game, so maybe comboing into them would be a problem. But I mean, if you have supers that do half damage, isn't that already a problem no matter how much you limit them? I don't know. But that really limits what supers can do. And the best way to use supers is to whiff punish things. So that makes certain supers very, very good, and other supers very, very bad. This isn't even the worst super in the game, we'll get to that. Now, of course, because this is a Castlevania game, we've got sub-weapons. And it's so Castlevania, down to the fact that you break torches or other various stage objects to get these sub-weapons, at least in the story, arcade, and castle modes, and versus you can just kind of pick a sub-weapon, which is good. And you have to spend hearts in order to use your sub-weapon, just like in Castlevania. And of course, you can pick up more hearts by smashing torches and stuff. Now, not all sub-weapons are as useful as each other. I mostly spent the game playing Alucard, so I got familiar with what I'm calling the
Protagonist sub-weapons?
which are, of course, your axe, cross, dagger, holy water, and maybe one more that I'm forgetting. And out of those, dagger is fine. Axe is okay. It seems like it would be good if you needed like a really safe way to end a block string. I haven't tested any of that, but cross is really cool. I hit a couple like really nasty cross combos near the end of my playing through.
Okay, Boomer Cross might be the vibe, might be the way.
And holy water is completely broken.
Some weapons don't seem to be that good. Like besides holy water, which I've been playing this game for 40 minutes and I've already discovered infinites. That's crazy. Okay.
Now, the holy water infinite is very finicky. I'm not sure if it works on every character. Also, I only ever got it to work once, and that's the time you saw right there. As much as I tried, and trust me, I tried, I couldn't replicate it again and again. And also, if you were going to play this game in versus, you only start with 10 hearts, and holy water is a super expensive sub-weapon, so the amount of damage you could actually do with this is pretty limited. Now, let's talk about combos. How do those work? Your attack button leads to a basic auto combo string that the damage of that depends character to character, and also if you're holding forward or not, or if you're holding a direction or not, you get two different strings. And the depth comes in because you can cancel your strings into special moves and unblockables, but most of the time I found that unblockables aren't very great for combos, regardless. And also, you can cancel your special moves into your sub-weapons. And your attacks, I guess, you can cancel into sub-weapon. So you've got a couple different ways to cancel and do these fun things with your combo strings, which is cool. I understand why auto combos are in the game. This is clearly a more casually focused fighting game. I mean, it's sort of an arena, what I like to call an arena fighting game. You have free movement and stuff like that. So I understand having auto combos. I still find them annoying. I'd rather have like an actual light, medium, heavy launcher, or a special, I guess, technically, buttons like a Marvel game. In fact, I would like it if this was just Marvel but Castlevania. I don't know. Maybe there's some fan-made game like that I should know about, but whatever. That's not what we got here. So overall, I think the basic concept of the gameplay, well, it's kind of weird. There's some weird quirks to it for sure. I think it's pretty cool. But just because the core mechanics are good doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything fun to do. Alright, we're going to get into the next chapter here, but I'm going to take a sip. Oh, Earl Grey, baby. Our top build game mode is Story Mode. And as far as I can tell, the story told here is completely non-canon. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad or not fun. Some of the most fun stories are non-canon. Here's the basic rundown of the story. Every character starts their story in the same way. A wall of text appears detailing what the character's basic backstory is and how they went from their normal canon appearance into stumbling into a time rift. That's right, we got a time story here. Let's see what they do with that. Now, if you weren't carefully reading the text that I was showing on screen here, you probably didn't notice that I actually stitched together the intro cutscene between Simon Belmont, Dracula, and Maria. So it's they clearly were cutting some corners here, because they had to get this exposition dump on you somehow, but they didn't have the budget for any kind of cutscenes or animation or anything. Also, the unique intro dialogue that you get here, we do get unique intro dialogue throughout the story for each character, which is fun. This opening intro dialogue has our OC for the game, Aeon, this explaining to the character that they've stumbled into a time rift and that they've got to collect these soul keys.
Right on time. Welcome to the Time Rift.
Wanderer of time, is this age on the verge of collapse?
Ah, you see much. We need the soul keys, gained by passing a series of trials.
If it serves the Master's purpose, I will do whatever is required.
My name is Aeon. Shall we begin the first trial?
Every character's story mode is composed of 10 stages, 8 of which are basically just fights against the CPU. Then there's a fight versus an arena of enemies. You got your zombies, your mermen, your minotaurs, and your iron gladiators. And then you've got your boss fight at the end, which varies some. For example, Alucard just fights Dracula at the end of his story. But there's also sometimes where you're fighting a character along with zombies. Which, like, why is this priest fighting alongside zombies? Or priestess, I guess. Why is this vampire hunter of the church fighting with zombies? That's kind of weird, but whatever. And then at the end of completing the story mode for each character, you get awarded a soul key by Aeon. And he sort of ominously tells you there's X number of keys left, and then stares at you. Now, this hooked me right away. I was very curious to see what would happen after I got all 14 of the soul keys. And That's all it takes. All it takes is a little bit of mystery and a little bit of suspense. That's all it takes. It's so simple, and it just works. Also, after completing a story mode run through, you usually unlock 1 or 2 different characters that you can play throughout the entire game. I'm not exactly sure what dictates that, whether it's the amount of soul keys you have or which story you complete. I don't know. The only 2 stories that really stuck out in my mind, and not necessarily for the right reasons, was first the story of Golem, who is now my favorite character in the game. Because he is the only character in the game who actively does not want to be fighting.
Me not want to fight. Do not want.
So you kind of see him on the select screen, or when you play against him a time or two in the story mode, and you don't realize that he's not like a hulking, mindless giant. He's just a dude who wants to survive and be transformed into a regular human being. That's all he wants.
Mama, me find you.
Mama? What?
Me remember. You make me. Say me can be human.
You imbecile. You're a pile of metal and meat. You could never be human.
But Mama say me can be human.
Enough of your nonsense. I will silence you forever.
And what can I say? That's great. That's just great. I love that. The other story that stuck out in my mind was Maria, and the only reason it does is because every time she interacts with another one of the female characters, she comments on their assets.
Just because you're hot doesn't mean you can be rude. Uh-huh. They're huge.
Will you stop? These things only get in the way.
How can you say that? Those are a sacred gift. Even the vampires are bigger than mine.
What are you babbling about?
No way am I losing to you.
And I know that's kind of a trope in Japanese fiction, but I don't know. That's always been weird to me. I've never been a 12-year-old girl, and I've never met a 12-year-old girl who's so jealous of fully mature women for being hot. I don't know. That's weird to me, but hey, that's what you get. Well, after we've played through all of the stories and we've unlocked all the characters and we've gotten all the soul keys, what is the true ending? Well, you have to play through the entire story mode with a character again to learn what's going on. Okay, well, I guess I'll pick my character and go and play through the story mode. I think I played Simon for my first run through the true ending for no reason in particular. So after you go through the entire story mode for the character again, you get an extra fight with Aeon, and then if you win that fight, you get the ending boss fight versus an evil entity from 10,000 years in the future who is threatening to collapse the timescape, thus ending the world. I guess that's why Aeon either caused or summoned everybody into the time rift. Which, I mean, I guess, but like, couldn't you say that from the beginning? I don't know, whatever. Anyways, this boss fight, once you beat it once, it's pretty easy, honestly. You just gotta learn to be patient and block, basically, and also how to dodge through the big laser attack. And after you defeat the boss fight, you get the end cutscene. Cutscene because it's just a wall of text again. And basically it just says, oh, you defeated the evil bad guy, good job. The character went back to their normal timeline like nothing happened. That's pretty much that's it. So that I'll save my thoughts. I'll save my thoughts for later. But let's move on to the characters themselves. But before that, delicious. Overall, I found that the characters in this game were well designed, and you've got sort of a variety of archetypes. You've got your all-rounders, you've got your zoners, you've got your grapplers. What? Well, is there multiple grapplers? Is Death really a grappler? Like, he has a command grab, but he's also got a ton of projectiles. And that's another thing, is that a lot of these characters are very hybrid characters. In fact, I can't believe I'm forgetting her name, but the priestess lady, the witch who became a priestess of the church. Don't ask. That's all I know. Anyways, she's sort of a jack of all trades, master of this fireball kind of character, and then the other holy lady is more like a true zoner, stuff like that. There's only 2 characters that I have a super, or I guess not a super problem with, but, well, one of them I have a super problem with. But there's 2 characters that I have a problem with their design. Let's talk about Golem first, who is my favorite character in terms of his character and his character arc and his story, but not my favorite to play. Now, Golem, if you just look at him, is kind of obviously the grappler archetype. So he's slow, he's got big moves, he's got armor on some of them, but he's also got a lot of burst options. Like, his directional attack and his directional special are both charges, and also his dodge is him rolling up in a ball and just zooming around the stage. So that's kind of weird. He still suffers from really bad frame data. Now, I can't quote numbers at you, but I can just feel how slow it is and how many times I got stuffed out trying to just do anything. His unblockable is probably the best one in the game. It actually comes out relatively fast and is a command grab. And sometimes the CPUs will just let you loop this command grab, which is hilarious. His super, though. Absolute worst super in the game. Oh my goodness. It just takes forever to come out. You're never hitting anybody with this. And it's not like you can use meter in other ways, like in other games, right? Your meter is only for your super, so he just does not get to interact with that entire part of the game. It seems like Golem is built around ring outs, would be my guess, and I got some really cheeky ones. But first, well, I guess I forgot to mention ring outs, but yeah, they're in the game. But also, not really on every stage. Sometimes stages have only specific areas where you can ring out. Sometimes you have to break stuff to ring people out. And then there's Throne Room, which, as far as I can tell, doesn't have any way to, ring out somebody. Or if it does, it's super out of the way and impractical to get to. So that sucks. If Clock Tower was the only stage, he might be better, but it's bad. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, instead of a character just kind of being designed badly, we've got Dracula, who literally breaks the rules of the game. Now, you might expect that from a boss character, which clearly Dracula is. But when it's a character that is plainly selectable on the CSS, I don't know how I feel about that. Now, what are these terrible things? Let's cover the normal stuff first. amazing projectiles. He's got these nasty homing spheres. He's got these flame pillars that he can send out and actually detonate after he sends them out, so he can kind of like space these pillars how he wants to space them. He's got a pretty good dodge, all things considered. So he's clearly the sort of zoner archetype. And he's also like the only character who is actually slow. Like Golem has a slow walk speed, but he's got a bunch of burst options, including his crazy roll. Dracula got none of that. In fact, when he jumps, he doesn't even get a normal jump. He just teleports upward and stays in the same spot. So he's got zero mobility. So how did they decide to break him? Or make him break the game? Well, one of the least egregious things is he's got this little trap room that he can set on the floor. And if you walk into that, you get hit. That doesn't sound too bad. Well, until he stands on it, and anytime you go and actually get an opening on this zoner, you run into a trap and just get hit out of your combo. That's pretty bad. Especially because you would be incentivized to do this, being the really low mobility zoner that you are. So sitting on a trap is not a big deal for you. Also, you cannot launch or knock down Dracula. So there's a lot of combo strings that have a launcher in them, including some auto combos. So if you do that, your auto combo just whiffs and doesn't work. Also, not being able to ground is super annoying because obviously he just gets better recovery time. So it's not like you can get in, hit him, put him on the ground, and then maybe play some like Oki or something, right? No, he just gets to stand up right away. So that's also annoying. Yeah, I don't know. He seems really broken and really annoying. Other than that though, other than those two, I find the rest of the cast to be like pretty cool. You know, their mechanics aren't super well explained. Like Aeon's got these different colors that his clock sword glows, but I have no clue what the different colors mean or what causes them to change and stuff like that. But overall, I think the character design is pretty good and has a good variety to it. Now, our other major game mode is Castle, which is basically a dungeon crawler, which is interesting. Now, on all of these tiles in the castle, I almost said in the dungeon, in all of these tiles, there is sort of this unique challenge with an interesting twist put on it. Whether that's don't break the breakable objects, land a 7-hit combo, or maybe it was a 6-hit combo. You do less or more damage, the enemies do less or more damage, those kinds of things. You get what I'm saying. Now, every so often, when you clear enough rooms, you reach a boss door, or a boss tile. I guess I'm calling them tiles, not doors. Whatever. Anyways, once you reach these, when you beat the boss, you get a save point, which obviously lets you save your progress, but also refills your health. Because guess what? Your health carries over. Like, any damage you take carries over into the next tile. And then once you defeat all the tiles in the castle, you get to fight Lord Dracula in a climactic battle. Which would be cooler if I hadn't already fought him like 7 times. But that's okay. The only other thing I really want to mention is that we got random encounters in this game mode. If you move between completed tiles long enough or enough times, you're gonna get a random encounter. There's just a percentage chance that you get a random encounter when you move tiles. And that's cool, you know? Like, I understand why they're there. They're there to prevent you from just save scumming and heal up after every single fight. Makes you kind of actually push a little bit, raises the tensions a little bit. I think I actually was really low health and then died to one at some point. Maybe the editor will find that footage, I don't know. But man, no matter what I do, I can't escape the influence of Gary Gygax. Anyways, that's castle mode. It's pretty simple, and honestly, it's cool. It would really benefit from having more enemy types than just the 4. Could have really used, a little bit more than that, but it's a fun little game mode. I would have, I think with some polish it could be really fun. But this is what we got. Alright, we got a few miscellaneous things we need to talk about before we get to final thoughts. The other 2 game modes are included in that, arcade and survival. Arcade is just story mode with a timer. Okay. And then survival is defeat as many rounds as possible. Or defeat as many rounds as you can. Survive until you lose. And when I played survival, I got up to round 50. And I said, wow, this is boring, because the CPUs are all set to like the easy CPUs, and I had done all the story stuff and all the castle stuff, so I was playing Alucard, the character I had played for most of everything, and kind of knew what I was doing roughly, so it was really easy. And there was no real sign that the CPUs were getting harder, so I just went, okay, let's just end it at 50. Please end my experience with this. But after survival, I unlocked a bunch of cosmetics, which I also got for arcade and castle. So you can get cosmetics in this game and customize your characters. That's cool. That's what the other 2 slots, so they're duplicates of the first 2 slots in the character skins select screen are for. Okay, cool. I didn't realize that at first. I was really confused why there's 2 duplicate skins for every character. Anyways, yeah, customization is cool. Here's what I came up with. I don't know, I thought it was fun at the time. So yeah, there's customization in the game. There's an offline versus mode, and there was an online versus mode that you could do over Nintendo Wi-Fi or Wii Wi-Fi or whatever that service was called. Cool, bro. I don't know how popular that ever was, but it's dead now, so good luck with that. So that's all the knots I had to tie. Let's get to our final thoughts. Alright, so does Castlevania capture that Castlevania feeling? Does it capture the soul and the essence of Castlevania? I think so. It's got the sort of moody atmosphere you would expect. It obviously is inspired by the mechanics of Castlevania, the breaking of objects, the sub-weapons. It's aimed at a more casual audience. I wonder if they made it today with things like Dragon Ball FighterZ and what's the Hunter x Hunter fighting game that just came out, right? I wonder if they would have made this a more proper fighting game nowadays. So overall, I think the sort of dressing and some of the mechanics really do call back to being a Castlevania game. Now, is it a good fighting game? Well, let me put it to you this way. If there was an active community for this game, I'm not going to go looking for people to play with. I didn't even reach out to any of my friends who I normally play games with to see if they want to try this one out, because it's perfectly fine for PvE. There's also some weird things that kind of come with arena fighting games. And one of those to me is always like, how good is the camera? It's kind of bad here. I think it's it would be a good camera angle if this was a normal fighting game. But because you can move freely, there's times where you'll get stuck or behind a bigger character and you just can't see your own character at all and things like that. So it could use some work there. There's also the movesets are pretty limited with their buttons, so besides the fact that there's like definitely bad characters and good characters, and most of that's probably with how good their super is, if I'm going to be 100% honest with you, it's okay. I honestly enjoyed my time here, but I'm not looking to play it again, or play it in a competitive sense. I mean, the game got, what, 8.5-ish hours out of me? So it's not like it's super lacking in content, and I could also, if I really wanted to play more, I could grind for accessories and things like that. But who wants to do that? I don't know, especially with survival being probably the best way to get unlockable or the accessories. But yeah, overall, I think the game lands a little flat, and I think I'm gonna have to put it in the fun afternoon tier list, even though I put a full work day into playing it. But yeah, I wanted it to be better, you know, but I also kind of expected it to be worse. So I think overall it sort of met, in a weird way, it met my expectations. I guess. I don't know. I think I'm just discovering that. Just sitting here thinking about it. Okay, well, before I go down some sort of theological, philosophical, or metaphorical rabbit hole, why don't we end the video here? Have a blessed day, everybody, and stay tuned. I've got some more things cooking up.
I'm McCullen. 2 rules. Rule 1. You're no good to me dead. Rule 2. What difference does it make? You'll all probably end up dead anyway.